Hello, everyone. Hey, Arthur, Dennis, Steve. Hey, Chad. Just asking for a quick favor. If you can hear me, okay, can you raise your hand just so I know my audio is working right? Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, John. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pull up the presentation and we're going to start right away. Thank you for being patient. And this meeting is recorded. So if you have any questions, or if you're kind of wondering if you get the recording afterwards, by all means, let me know that you want to see the deck, and I'm happy to share it. Do have like this little thing. I would love for you to participate. So if you're not, I might be calling you out a little bit or saying like, hey, why aren't you responding? Things like that. But it's all in good faith. Hope you'll at least enjoy it. So yeah. Hey, Susan. Hey, Steve. Hey, Ross. Hey, Ronnie. Paul. It's great seeing everyone. So basically what we're doing, and the reason we're talking about an agency that is opening in about 3 weeks, is so we can prepare. And what we're going to do is talk about what is non-dilutive funding, and then really do A to Z on the AFWERX program and kind of Air Force-based funding. And afterwards, we're going to talk about what we do, how we help companies, and how we help companies get winning more and higher both valuations and funding rewards, and just end up winning more. Part one, what is R&D non-dilutive funding? And the QR code you're seeing is a link to my calendar. So if you take out your phone, scan the QR code, and book a call, I'd be more than happy to speak with you and see what exactly AFWERX can offer to you and show you exactly what type of funding is available. So even if you're going after R&D funding yourself, then you should know that there's $140 billion in R&D budget, and 30 to 60 is available for private industry. So it depends on the agency, it depends on the tech, it depends on who you are. But at the end of the day, Chad, what you can do is have access to a market that's 30 to 60 billion dollars. Now, as opposed to regular funding, I know a lot of people ask this. You don't share equity. The government investing in you doesn't have percentages, even in later phases where they want to give you anywhere from like $1.5 to $30 million to help you commercialize. They don't have stakes in the company. Maybe other investors might, but you are not diluting your company's efforts and the shareholders by doing R&D funding. There's no interference, meaning you don't bring in board members. You keep the IP, and this is something that a lot of people ask what happens. Basically, out of all the opportunities that we help companies find, there's no IP risk, and we let you know if there's something that we need to do better clarifications, but usually you keep your IP even if you've developed something under the federal government. And you're going to be working with tier 1 huge agencies, and some of these R&D programs lead, as we'll see in AFWERX, lead from an R&D contract, lead all the way to an actual contract with a federal agency. So think about what that means to sales, what it means to investments. Now, over every dollar, and this is something that the Medical Institute found, over every dollar that you're able to get from the public sector, you can raise and leverage that up to 8 times from the private sector, which means that the actual value, this is smart dollars, this is not just R&D funding, this is a hallmark of industry. That means you've been vetted by additional people. That means the background of the company is more solid. Now, the Department of Energy also found that for companies that won small business awards, were able to double their chances of getting additional private sector funding. So this is smart dollars that go beyond what you could do to advanced engineering. This is something that could be used and should be negotiated and discussed as well with your CFO, with your CTO, and the CEO of the company to understand how does this impact all of them. So we have companies that have been experienced, and we've been guiding them for a while, that after they win, let's say a phase 2, let's say they get $1.5 million, we tell them, put this in the SBIR. Like, why aren't you putting this in your pitch decks next time you're meeting with an investor in your next round? This is something that shows revenue and commercial interest. So this goes beyond just like engineering dollars. Now, why is the government doing it? Are they doing for you? So it divides to 2. It's either granting agencies or they're contracting agency. The contracting agency gives you an R&D contract for you to solve a problem that they have that they need it fixed and they haven't been able to figure it out. So it's essentially a marketing and sales pitch that you have to do. Now, an agency is going to see the problems that they have. They're looking for an algorithm. They're looking for a material. They're going to post out an R&D contract opportunity. They're going to see what's out there for a potential solution. In a competitive bid, they'll invest in the best company and see what's the product that they're getting. It's the same thing as a sales pitch. And then afterwards, they're going to have an opportunity to become an early customer. Some agencies are saying, go do something early, test it out with me, but I want to have access to cutting edge stuff. I don't want to purchase technologies that are 15 years in the past just because that's the only track of somebody can use it. The other one is granting agencies. They're saying, this is something that is strategic. This is something that is valuable. This is something that we want to keep manufacturing in the US. We want advanced AI algorithms to be developed. We want cutting edge materials for NASA to be developed in the US. So that's why they're funding it. So that's the other side. And you can see stuff like America's Seed Fund. You can see if they're doing it for every dollar invested in engineering, it's a significantly better ROI because of tax dollars. So there's a significant kind of benefit to the government for doing this as well. Now, let's see how it goes for small businesses and what are the tracks to do that. So it usually be phased funding. For you to apply for small business grants, you need to be less than 500 people. You need your R&D for the project that you're pitching to be performed in the US. And you need that 51% of the ownership of the company would be established in the US. So it could be a green card, it could be a US citizen, but there's still 51% of the company needs to be owned by US residents. Private equity, that works. If you have a VC, then we need to have a discussion on how much control do they have? Do they have control over the IP? Because they're trying to make sure that it's not a North Korean shell VC that is trying to steal US IP. So phase one concept is going to be 50 to 250,000, and that's something to show that the technology works and not expecting you to retire from it. Prototype is 750 to 1.6 million, sometimes more, but that's a broad numbers for you to actually pilot and show, here's what I said it can do, here's what it can actually do. And then phase two or phase three, phase 2B or phase 3 is saying, take the prototype, now start manufacturing. And there's funding that goes way beyond and that has multi-million-dollar awards and saying, pass what you're doing right now, we want you to be able to commercialize and sell it. Now, Small Business Innovation Awards are $3 billion awarded annually, awarded to about 5,500 companies each year. If you're not applying, your competition is. That's a budget that has to be used before the end of the year. And if you're not applying, if you're not showing why you're the better company to work with, think of the impact that that has 2, 3, 4 years down the road, because this has to be awarded for somebody. And if you're not applying, somebody else is. So, hey, Steve. So those SBIR awards are only 3% of the federal budget. So what we see here is that broad agency announcements are 97% of what's available out there. And it is continuous funding. Like there's programs that are $1.5 million and $300K each year for 5 years. Other programs are $10 million for 3. The ceilings can be anywhere from 100,000 to 65 million, and it's very broad. It can be from stuff that is concept and could be maybe commercialized in 20 years, and others is stuff that they can purchase right away. It's another granting and contracting mechanisms that government agencies can use. What can you factor in the budget? And these are things that, by the way, we help you pitch and write a proposal that has the budget laid out so you don't get technically disqualified. So you can put the salaries of the R&D staff. You need to hire more engineers, you can factor the salaries. If you need to get subcontractors, instruments, you can even place anywhere from 7 to 15% profits depend on the proposal. So Daryl is asking, what are the limits to qualify for small business again? It's 500 people, like less than 500 people that are under the payroll, After that, 51% of the business needs to be owned by US residents or citizens, and private equity from the US is okay. If you have VC funding, that's something that just needs to have a little bit more bureaucracy to figure out, but there are VC invested companies that can apply. And then thirdly, you need to have the R&D that you're asking for funding for to be applied, to happen in the US. So you see there's a whole variety of agencies that move from contracting to actual, like move from grant writing and move from R&D development into becoming clients. So it can be ACTEC Search and AFWERX and Defense Innovation Unit and NASA and the DoD, but a lot more. So the conclusion, this is something that we saw from the data on working with hundreds of companies, is the time to money is very similar to an A round when it comes to how long does it take you to raise, how long it takes you to get a lead. That's why our kind of compass on working with a company is around 18 months for you to get what is equivalent to a Series A. The ROI is similar, it's just equity free. So the ROI on working with us and also going after grants, when you take a look at the time investment, when it takes a look at pitching, is similar, but you haven't diluted the company. So you're essentially getting free dollars to get a Series A. R&D process then builds the sales channel, because with a lot of agencies, you're either using the contracts that you got as marketing as PR, and that helps you with sales in the private world, or you're using the R&D process to build the relationship. If you're doing it smart, you're building the relationship as you're doing R&D, and then you're building the potential client and the potential clientele. That's also something that we help with. But what we see over time is a year and a half of developing with an agency builds a relationship with your end users. So that can be afterwards, we like what you do, here's additional funding. We like what you do, send us a GSA contract and we want you to win in that bid. And it increases the value of projected revenue of the company because you've created an additional revenue source for the company. The cost per share without dilution actually goes higher. So before I move to the next step in AFWERX, I'm wondering, are there any questions right now? Arthur and Daryl, Dennis, Greg, feel free to ask me anything, Steve, Susan, hey Tim. So feel free to ask me anything and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions either now or later in the Q&A. So raise your hand if you want me to move to the next topic and talk about AFWERX. Let's see. Oh, nice. So Arthur was first, Anne-Marie was second, Daryl was third, Susan, you're fourth, and Jay, you were fifth. Okay, nice. I see some competitive people. Jesse, you're gonna have to work harder. Let's move to the next section. So one question before we start. So how can I help make sure that my proposal wins an SBIR? We're gonna talk about it at the end section, but essentially you have to be hitting on all the right points on why you're the person to be working with, like specifically, what is your tech and what is the impact and what's in it for them, and then after what's in it for the market. So you have to get some ducks in a row, but if you do that long enough, if you do multiple proposals, then your chances of winning get higher. I see companies that have been doing this for 5, 10 years, and you see they are able to raise 10, 20, 30, $40 million if they're able to do that systematically, get the right feedback, and get the right people in there. So let's talk about A to Z AFWERX. And again, feel free to take out your phone, scan the QR code, and I'd be happy to speak with you later. If I'm unavailable because of personal events, my colleagues would be happy to speak with you, but scan the QR code, we'd be happy to see. So let's talk about AFWERX. So critical dates. August 25th, they're opening their focus area, saying, here are verticals we're interested in seeing solutions. And they officially opened for submission on September 23rd. They close on October 22nd. Usually the system crashes a week before, but that's kind of the official date. And we have a deadline on September 13th. Very straightforward, because after September 13th, we're working on you intensively. We're not onboarding additional clients. So if you want to go after AFWERX, if you want to see what it's like working with us, even if you want to sign a contract and give us money, I won't be able to onboard you. Very basically because it takes us a week for you to go and get onboarded on your technology. which leaves us just under a month to build a full proposal for you and a proposal that wins. So the longer that we have on working with a company, the more specific we are on the people we want to work with, the more specific we are on the use cases, the more accurate the description of what is the agency need that you're solving. So we stopped and we don't onboard clients a week before the deadline. It just doesn't happen anymore. If a client wants to work with us 2 weeks before the deadline, we can't guarantee that you're going to be able to actually make it. So please, if you want to work with us, schedule a call and let's see how we can help. I might be even available for later hours, but don't miss out because it takes too long, or because you've thought, yeah, I can speak with them later. So AFWERX in a nutshell is a kind of contracting agency for the Air Force that was established in 2017 because they realized that the way that the Air Force needs to acquire technology isn't the way that they've been doing this for the last 30 years. A company can't wait 2 years till they get a $100,000 contract and 5 years till they get a $5 million. It just doesn't work that way. They need to move way faster. And they understood that the bottom-up approach is way more effective for the problems that people in the Air Force have compared to saying top to bottom, top down, saying, here's a solution that we need. We know what exactly what we're going to need in 10 years. They're saying, private sector, solve us an unknown problem. So they have an open topic. They're saying, here's challenges. Here's problems that we have. We have pitch events. We're going to start with small bets with you, and then we're going to see big bets. But essentially, they're saying, you need to explain to us what we're missing out by not working. Why is life not as fun without using your product or tech or capabilities? And they're saying, you have to show us the innovation. You have to show us the delta. And if I'm going to be speaking with you and we're going to have a call, what I'm going to be asking is, hey, Jay, like, explain to me, what is the power of your technology? What current limitation or barrier does your product and technology eliminate? How does the technology do that? What is the current way of thinking for the person using the technology? Like, there's going to be essential screening that we're going to do with every company to understand what are your capabilities to actually show the delta there. And you have to show a military need. Like, we've had a company that was literally a robot that changes tires, but we're able to show that you're changing many tires, at once. This is something that is labor intensive. So we're able to get a robot that changes tires company. We're able to get them a phase 2. You need to show that you're a strong team in the sense that you're trustworthy. You're able to actually execute research. You're actually able to deliver on milestones. All these things are what constitute a strong team. And then commercial success is who's going to be a client at the end of it. Specifically, if we're talking about grants that we can help you on, like $1 million, $30 million, you need to show commercial success in saying, here's either sales that I have, here's memorandum of understanding, letters of intent that I have from the private sector, or people want to use my tech. Or later on, they actually want to see how you can bring in sales, or an investor, a person who wants to do shoulder to shoulder with them on investment. So the way it works for them, customer exploration. Here's 50,000, just go and find a customer. Then that customer sign a memorandum of understanding saying, I have to work with Jesse, I have to work with Anne, I have to work with Paul, I have to work with him on these technologies because here's what he's solving for me. So these are things that you're doing in the client discovery. If they like what you do, is 750,000 in a phase 2. Pilot test, show exactly how you're able to perform. And then afterwards, commercialization and expansion, move from the prototype to you actually providing. So Ronnie, Ross, I'm wondering if this is something that's interesting for you. If you have more questions, by all means, Steve, feel free to ask me anything. Like, that's the name of the webinar. Jay, Ross, feel free to ask anything on the Q&A, and as well, it's great seeing you. So that's how it works. Phase 1, award, and then 2 months. Goal to go get a memorandum of understanding. And then phase 2 and direct to phase 2. The award is 750,000. The duration is about 12 months. If you're able to get somebody from the private sector to go and say, I actually want this development as well, so I'm willing to put in additional funds. And this is something that we help with as well, finding that private sector match. You can get up to $1.5 million. And it increases your chances. I know this is a question that came out from Arthur. How can you increase the chances of winning? If you're able to find somebody who's going to do cost sharing, like I have somebody from the private sector who wants to put in 200,000. Can you put in another 750? Your chances of winning gets higher. the way the process works with AFWERX is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like find a customer, pilot with a customer, and then become a full-blown one, or phase 1, phase 3, like they like your technology so much that you can apply afterwards for a full-on contract, like direct to procurement. And then phase 2 to phase 3, where you have a direct to phase 2, we have some of our clients that have won a direct to phase 2 while doing that. So they move direct to prototype, they don't need to do proof of concept. So phase 1 is to explore innovative defense-related dual purpose and find the client. Phase 2 is to explore innovative defense and not covered by specific topics. So the point is of a phase 2 is current and outside current focus fields, but could be very useful. Let's take a look at what we say open topic. When we do open topic, it is, Ross, can you skip the phases? You can skip a phase 1. Sometimes you can skip a phase 2. At the end of the day is to reach a phase 3. So when we work with a company, let's say 18 months, the purpose is for you to get to a phase 3. That's the compass. That is the goal that we want to do with a company. Now, important deadlines for us, August 28th is our early bird date. There's an extra, like for a company that's going to sign with us and work with us by August 28th, there's a special perk that I want to give. And then the last chance, it's going to be very hard for me to onboard you to work with us, is September 13th. So let's take a look at the actual funding mechanisms that AFWERX has. Now, they have pitch events and pitch days where they move to instant contracts, where if they like what they see, if they actually are interested in procuring your technology, there are contracts and money transfers or actual moving forward on that same day. One of our clients actually won a direct to phase 2 from a pitch day. We helped them prepare for it, and now we're helping them with our sister company to go find additional investors. The next pitch day is Space Force pitch day, is happening in 15 days and 18 minutes. It's not 18 minutes, it's a couple of hours less because when I made the webinar, but that's the next Space Force event. They have specific areas that they want to see. You're invited to pitch, then you pitch to an audience of Air Force stakeholders, win same day, one paid contract. No 30-page contracts that you need a professor in law to be able to figure this out, and then you might get screwed over. One paid contract, phase 1 direct to phase 2. So they're looking innovation and this is just for Space Force, right? Situational awareness, space communication, visualization, multi-domain command control, determining operations within electronically contested environments, AI, responsive launch systems, space logistics, and protection for critical space assets. This is just the focus areas for that pitch day. Another part that they have is AFWERX challenges. So as you can see, it's not, all right, here apply to a phase 1, you're gonna get $30, go buy a pizza, and then we're gonna contact you in 500 years, see maybe we wanna move to the next step. These are things that they want to get in front of innovative companies. They wanna get in front of them fast, and they wanna get at least preliminary contracts and revenue and traction much faster. So you register, you review the challenge, you submit your solutions, and then you explore a solution and view and vote, comment, and then the challenge they'll showcase. And then afterwards, you're selected to the next phase that could be prototyping, further demonstrations, and you get to build the relationship with additional stakeholders. These are just a small example of stuff they were looking for. So airfield maintenance and repair, flight line security, aircraft maintenance operations. So take a look at the variety of topics that they have. Data availability, warfighting and operational equipment, reimagining fixed and mobile energy storage. These are not things that you necessarily expected, but energy culture, mixed air refueling trading, mixed reality, high-speed vertical takeoff. So these are definitely a variety of topics that they want to see. And then we have AFWERX, STRATFI, and TACTFI. How does it work? There's match funding for defense only and dual use. It can be anywhere from 300K to 50 million, and it's available for phase 2 winners. That's why I'm saying when we work with you, when we work with a client, and if you want to get more specific, take your phone, scan the QR code, happy to speak with you afterwards. But here's data from their actual program. They're saying TACTFI is anywhere like tactical finance. It could be 375K to 1.7 million, and that's on active SBIR phase 2 or completed within the last 3 years. You can, the effort is not already awarded a sequential phase 2, you didn't get like enhanced funding, and you are at least 90 days since the beginning of the phase 2 execution, meaning we're going to be working with some of our companies on phase 2 this upcoming August, September, October. Now, 3 months afterwards, you can start applying and building the pipeline to apply for 300 to 1.7 million. And you're able to apply required end user and customer memoranda like MOU. These are the stuff that we help you get. Now, if you're applying for TACTFI for defense only, they're going to do one-on-one. Like 1.7 million from them, you'll need to use our help or find somebody else, a one-on-one from somebody to do that, and that could also be sales. If you're doing dual use, that's one. If you're doing strategic financing, then they're going to do 1 to 2. So essentially, for every dollar you bring in, they're going to bring it for defense only. So you can get $3 million, or if you're doing dual use, something that could be used by the Air Force and the private sector as well, is going to be 1 from SBIRs, 1 from the government agency, and then 2 from the private sector. So that means the amount of funding that you're going to get is almost 3 to 4 times. So between notice of opportunity and then Air Force customer RFP release and contract award. So STRATFI can be $3, $15, $30 million depending on the end customer, and we help you get that. We help you go find that end customer. We go and help you find that person that wants to sign with you, both on the private sector and in the Air Force. So this is funding that takes you all the way from $50,000 all the way to 30. And this is something that most people give up. Something that says, oh, it didn't work out for us in like the first 2 months, so we don't want to do it. There's $30 million available. Like, why aren't you applying for it? Before I move to the next sections, are there like any questions? And this is all data that I'm bringing in from agencies themselves. So I want to move into the next part of like next SBIR agencies. The Department of Homeland Security is opening before the end of the year. AFWERX, of course. The Department of Defense is opening on August 25th as well. The Department of Energy is open now, and we have a deadline of August 10th to get right with you the letter of intent from their side. They actually have great funding. National Science Foundation is open until September. NASA is opening. DARPA is open, and Department of Agriculture is also open. And you'd be surprised on the amount of awards and materials that were available for AFWERX, and we're actually able to get them wins in NASA, in Air Force, and Department of Energy. Again, critical dates, they're pre-releasing on August 25th. So if you want to be in discussions with us, if you want to see what's available for you, if you want to see if this is relevant for you in our business model, reach out to me before, because if we're only speaking on August 25th, it's going to be too late. They close on October 22nd, and we're probably not going to onboard clients after September 13th. Susan says there are so many places now: AFWERX, NIBLX, ERDCWorks, NRL, Matec. Yes, we pretty much apply to all of them, Susan, and it's true. DoD agencies are now understanding that in order for them to get innovative technology, the private sector isn't going to like flock to them. They need to do much harder work to be able, much harder work and effort to get companies interested. It's not the Manhattan Project anymore. Susan also asked, how do you propose to take technology across these? So this is the exact work that we do. If we get a chance to speak with any of the people attending, I'm going to ask, what is the power of your technology? What is the current limitation, barrier? What does your technology actually solve? And then our team helps you find the agency need. They help you find the end customer. They help you show that the Air Force or any other agency is wasting that amount of money on execution, and then this amount of effort, and here's how it saves lives or reduces effort. So it's a case-by-case solution, but to take the technologies across these, we do multiple submissions. What we do is we find all the relevant proposals that are out there, all the available agencies. We actually have a board that we know of the stuff that is coming up. Part 3, how does Eagle Point funding get companies winning more, higher, and better awards? I know I'm biased, but I want you to take a look at the available companies and companies that have won with us. So facial recognition, data management, data science, precision agriculture, advanced materials for 3D printing, wearable fabrics, live streaming, and carbon nanotubes. This is just a small fraction of our winning companies. I want you to see the variety of funding from $50,000 to $6 million to multiple awards on smaller amounts. Take a look at the variety of tech. It's not like you can say, all right, I'm not making turbines or I'm not SpaceX, so I can't win. Quite the contrary. You see that these companies are able to get substantial funding from various types of techs. It's just a matter of finding the right use case and the right agency. And AFWERX is a terrific agency to start because they're very open-minded and they have an open topic. If you can find somebody who needs it, who's willing to vouch for you, your chances of winning get higher. These are funding story series. So we actually recorded episodes with companies that have won with us. So if you get the deck afterwards, if you reach out to us and say, hey, Yoav, Joe, I want to see the deck or I want to see the recording, you can take a look at companies that we've recorded episodes with them and what was it like and what is like, how did they win? Don't just take my word for it. You can actually see those companies and describe their experience. Innovative tech, strong R&D team, and commercial viable technology are the companies that I'm looking to work with. So a company that is low tech or is just doing marketing technology that is not like a company that is good with Google Ads isn't a good cooperation with us. Like I will ask you, if we get up on the phone, I'll ask you, what is the power of your tech? What current limitation or barrier does the new technology eliminate or reduce? What is the current uses of the technology and how you want, the agency to do it? How will you implement the new technology? What is the delta compared to what you're replacing? The strong R&D team is like, what is the actual past experience of the person performing this research? And then commercially viable is, what is the application of the new technology that's going to enable a change in the market? Is it causing a benefit without causing resistance? What is the potential power? What limitation on you're solving, and what is the market size? These are all things that we do with companies. The 5 keys and what do we do to winning with companies? You find multiple funding opportunities. You know the system, meaning what is each agency looking for? What are they looking to see and find, and not what you're looking to pitch? You tell the story and you build a clear case, meaning here's how we're a great company, here's the vision and why we started, and here's why we moved to the next step. Here's why we're a great company to work with the agency. So a great example of that is the Air Force, and specifically AFWERX. They want to know that you're serious about working with them, not just taking 700 or just taking 50,000. So what we do is they number each proposal that is sent in. So the first application sent to AFWERX is number 1. 30, like 30 is 30. We've had in the last cycle, 20 of the first applications sent were helped with Eagle Point. And this is because they actually have higher chances of awarding you if you've applied sooner. So these are all things that are critical, and we know what they're looking for. And engage a multi-submission strategy. You don't go on one date and expect to be married, and if you don't, you're like staying at the basement. Same thing for investors. If it didn't go with one angel, you don't just close the doors. We say do the exact same approach with development and sales, and do it for grant writing and do it for grant funding. What to expect on working with us. We're going to intro you within a day to 3 with our team of signing the agreement, and that's the professional department. That's going to be the people that either going to help you exclusively with finding and grant writing, or also help you on the business development and showcases. That's additional service that we have. We signed 1 grant consultant and project manager. That's going to be the direct point of contact, 1 person you'd be interactive with. We're building a step-by-step strategic plan, so you know exactly what's coming up. You know what's the deadlines. We're even going to be hard asses in saying, this is a deadline that we have to make in 3 weeks. So we have 2 weeks of a buffer before the actual deadline. We need to make this happen. Unlimited amount of grant submissions. We've never limited our clients. If they wanted to apply for more, we applied. 5 to 10 on average. And we're pitching the company in front of relevant investors and corporate partnerships and federal stakeholders because we want to help you get the MOU. We want you to get the investors for TACTFI and STRATFI. We want you to be able to get all these amazing grants, but also do fundraising, do business development, and create that sales channel, even if you're still at an early stage, and follow introductions to the relevant communities and partners. We have a large network of people that we want to introduce you to to help you in those aspects. And if we don't have somebody and a great connection to facilitate within our network, we're going to do the active reach afterwards to help you find a good investor, help you find a federal stakeholder that should see, or invite them to the showcase. Same for corporates. A little bit about us. Tech Showcase, we've started just recently, but we help companies that have won or applied to federal funding to connect with investors, corporations, Argentum for year funding, and Freemind for life sciences. And the group has been around since 1999. We've won billions of dollars, hundreds of clients, and hundreds of in-house professionals, meaning every single person that writes a grant for you, or every single person that does the outreach and BizDev, is a full-time employee that's working with us. There's no outsourcing that happens. So your IP is protected, your work, and what we write together is we sign an NDA with every client. Now, for some reason I'm not seeing this, but I'm willing. Please ask me all the questions that you might have now. I'm more than happy to answer it. But if you want to get on the call for August 25th, or if you had problems scheduling, please let me know at yoav@eaglepointfunding.com. And I'd be happy to connect with you. Some of you I haven't seen and see some kind of names that I recognize here. I'd be happy to connect. We have a business model that is both a consultancy fee and a success fee, and we don't really deviate from it. And if you want to go after AFWERX, if you want to go after the DoD, I highly recommend speak to us before August 25th so we can prepare and make sure that you don't miss out on the September deadline. Laser ablation has been going on for 20 years and is still not totally implemented in the Air Force. It is needed for many reasons, but the buy-off to implementation is the number of people who need to approve the testing required that is not funded in the engineering. Have you ran into these issues previously? Have you handled them? We've had situations in the past where companies didn't know what happens or what funding can you get after phase 2, meaning after engineering. And we've had campaigns, like in the last June cycle, where the Air Force was offering up to $1.7 million in match funding, meaning 3.4 in total. We took some of the companies that use both grant funding and business development, and we brought them to an investor. We've helped them apply for both, kind of get introductions with investors and apply for a program that moves from engineering to an actual prototype. And we do showcase events where we're bringing potential customers and buyers and more people to develop the network so they can push for you. They can push with you on having those solutions in. At the end of the day, selling to the federal government isn't the easiest thing in the world, but it still happens and a lot of companies do it. And we know how to solve it, and there's various ways of dealing with it. So I'm happy to take your questions, Susan or anybody else, but that's the topics that we had. I hope it was informative for you. And Ross, Daryl asked at the beginning, what are the limits to qualify to be eligible for SBIRs and like small business awards? Less than 500 people, 51% ownership by US citizens, and R&D needs to be developed in the US. Arthur has asked, how do you make sure my proposals win an SBIR? You apply for several, you make sure your tech is awesome, the company looks great, and there's an actual market that's waiting for you after you finish development. Everybody wants to work in with a smart person who knows how to execute and then afterwards knows how to sell it. And this is, we want to help you build and pitch it. So can you skip the phases, Ross asked? Yes, and some of them depends on the agency. Sometimes you can skip a phase 1 to direct phase 2. Sometimes you can go straight to commercialization. Is the recording going to be available afterwards and can you revisit? Fabio, yes, it is, but only for participants. So if you've been asking questions, if you've been active, happy to send it out afterwards. No, I'm just kidding, but yes, it is available. What options are there for companies that are US subsidies of a foreign company, with most of R&D happening in the UK or Germany? I don't think we meet 51% requirements. Juan, that's okay. The thing is, you can't apply for AFWERX, but you can apply for AFWERX challenges. That's many times available for international companies. As long as like R&D isn't happening in North Korea and it's happening in allied countries, there are broad agency announcements within the Air Force, like AFRL, Air Force Futures Command. These are all things that are available for international companies. AFWERX isn't. A ton of R&D, like I showed you, like 97% of the budget is still available for non-US companies. So folks, I'm about to wrap it up. Thank you so much. A question that has arisen about our business model. So what it's like to work with us. So we have both an upfront cost and a success fee. To work solely on R&D funding and help you find grants and apply for phase 1s and phase 2s, it's $48,000 and $48,000. That is the consultancy fee, and the 5% success fee only on dollars that we help you get. If you want help in business development and also helping you in finding investors and putting you in front of showcases, you actually meet the federal people, build a sales channel, create more investments and network environment, then that's a little bit of addition with Deep Tech Showcase, but it's not a whole lot because the combined service, we give a significant discount. Interested in learning more how you work with Canada, Netherlands, EU, especially Portugal, for sure. Just know that, yeah, we have a consultants fee and a success fee, but that is to work together for 9 months. So, yes, essentially saying for 9 months, we're not going to limit the amount of proposals we go after. There's going to be one member from the grant department that is going to be a direct point of contact from our side that's going to be helping you find and apply. So that's what we do. So to be clarified, we would get one grant writer for everything correct. You'd get one grant consultant to go after grants and contracts. That's one person that doesn't get switched. And you get an additional team member to help you in business development, find investor and development. So yes, for grant writers, one person, then another team member to help you in business development. Thank you so much, folks. I hope this was informative for you. I'm about to wrap up unless there's any questions, and I'm happy if you can scan the QR code and get on a quick call. Fabio, feel free. Thank you. I think these are autonomous systems. We even have an event that's happening on August 19th to help you in network and BizDev. So feel free to, like, literally take out your phone right now, scan the QR code, and book a call for the month of August before like August 19th, and we'd be happy to speak together. Let's see. Thanks a lot. Hey, Steve. My pleasure. So thank you very much, folks. For those of you who reach out, we get the deck, and we're gonna do reach afterwards with the recording. So thank you so much. It was a lot of fun for me. I hope I didn't blabber too much for you. Please send the deck. Okay, book a call shortly. Ronnie, looking forward. Fabio as well. See, and thank you. It's great seeing you. So thank you very much, folks, and have a great rest of the day.